everybody. Welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket, a big episode coming your way. Speaking of coming, Pat Cummins, what is going on? We're going to get to the bottom of that. Who could replace him if he's not going to play in the first test in Perth? Marnus has put his hand up with a big 100 for Queensland. And also Bo Webster going to miss the second Shield game in a row, we're hearing. So everything's a little bit unsettled. Also, we're going to have a look at the women's game. Beth Mooney, a legitimate star. We're going to deep dive into how incredible her form is at the moment. Mitch Marsh with 100. And then the boys pick the Australian middle order of their time. And we finish with the final over. And maybe some Hayden gloating. It will be later in the show. But now, hello to these two superstars. Greg Blewett, of course, in Adelaide. Welcome, Blewy.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Haydos, as well.
I'm feeling very comfortable. Is that a good thing?
Oh, nice to have you both on board. All right, so we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. I'm just going to have to hold him back. I don't know if I can. The big 115-kilo frame might just steamroll over the top of me, Broncos style. All right, so boys, Pat Cummins a worry. Now, we discussed this, I reckon, about a month ago, and I said at the time that the people around the team that I'd been talking to, all Bluey gave me he's all right. He's just got a bit of a gnarly back. He'll be fine. Now you pick up the tissues, as the great Sam Newman used to call them, and there are journalists that are writing him off for the first test. Definitely not going to play. What do we think about that, and who would replace him?
Yeah, well, it was a bit of a shock yesterday because I was hearing the same things about, it's just a hot spot, and he should be right for the first test match. I spoke to someone high up in cricket admin about 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me that he was hearing that it might have been an actual stress fracture, which started to get me a little bit worried. And now I'm thinking, well, is it? And, maybe CA aren't being completely honest with us because obviously ticket sales are huge. They want Pat Cummins playing or in the frame to play. So it's taken a bit of a turn, that is for sure. I think Australia really, the selectors have to plan, I think, the series without Pat Cummins. They've got to think now worst case scenario. And then if he does play, that'll be a bonus. But obviously, I don't think too many people would be disappointed if Scott Boland plays most of the test matches. And then after that, you've got to go back to someone like a Michael Neser, I think. Jai Richardson, I think, is an exceptional bowler who can swing the ball both ways at good pace, but he's coming back from a shoulder reco, so I don't think he's going to be right for the start of the Ashes. But if Michael Neser plays, JB and Haydos, they've got to use him in the right way. I think he's got to take the new ball. He's the most dangerous when in Shield games, he takes early wickets for fun with the new ball. So I think they've got to reshuffle the way they use Michael Neser if he plays. And then you've got someone like a Brendan Doggett who missed the first Shield game with a hamstring injury as well. But I'm sure he'll be right in the coming weeks. But big news.
You talk Dos out of the UK and Robert Key, their head of cricket, was their jealousy over the last 5 years, the Australians' ability to have the big three available for every single game. Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins. Pardon me. He said, how do they do it? No one else in world cricket is able to do this. Have their best fast bowlers available for every single test match. Now, I'm not writing Cummo off, by the way, but if he doesn't play, you're not only probably missing your best bowler, although Stark and Hazelwood and Lyon are all fantastic, but your captain goes out as well. It's a huge hole to fill.
The captaincy, and I think we mentioned this a few podcasts ago, is not the major concern. Smith, assuming he's going to be fit and ready to go for the series, will be, the premium captain opportunity for Australia. Has done a great job. Has got a winning percentage, by the way, in Ashes history. 5 out of 6 of the Ashes test matches that he's actually captained, he's won 83% of the time. Captaincy, not a big deal. When you think about this bowling trio, and I'd love to be able to present the numbers and can't, they inevitably are the most successful combination. But also they've got the longest history of playing together. When you think of the great sides, of the legacy of Steve Waugh's and Ricky Ponting's. They had pretty settled bowling lineups, but they missed opportunities through injury. So this side hasn't been challenged by that. That's why they've been, always threatening for World Test Championships to have, 3 fast bowlers and then the backup of Lino as a world-class off-spinner, our best, the greatest of all time here in Australia. It just means that you're regularly being able to take 20 wickets. Their professionalism, obviously their support staff has really, been able to make sure they've consistently maintained, excellence in terms of their preparation, their fitness levels, their timing of their assets, where they're playing, how they're playing. They've largely controlled a lot of that. And so this is a really challenging time. Without Pat Cummins, it's, the Ashes suddenly, does go back a little bit more in favour of England.
Well, what interests me about it is we are 6 weeks out, basically, close to 6 weeks out. So to hear talk that someone is already being ruled out of a game when we've got modern medical technology and 6 weeks, that's a worry. All right, let's move on. Marnus Labuschagne, Blewy, first to put his hand up, big 100. Just a little aside for you and I, just so that we feel better. Batting in Brisbane in October clearly changed. Pitch described as a feather bed. Since when's that crap happened? We used to wander up there in October. Game was over in 2 days.
Different venue, slightly different venue.
That's what I was going to say. Different venue, and you didn't contribute a lot in those early games, Bray. You'd normally nick off to first or second slip.
I wasn't bringing myself into it. I was just saying as a team.
He made us immensely comfortable, though, Blue, I have to say.
I'll listen to you too.
But getting back to Marnus, brilliant. Great response. The first game on, as you said, on a very good pitch. I mean, Renshaw got runs. The opposition got runs as well. It was a draw, but a real statement, and it was a big 100 as well. So I've got no doubt that Marnus Labuschagne, in his best form and playing really well and looking to score, is a great asset for the Australian team. So if we can get Marnus back to old Marnus and batting at 3, I think that helps us enormously. So then that would allow, obviously Green to go back to number 6. There's question marks on Bo Webster at the moment with his fitness. I'm sure he'll be right come Ashes time. But it does look a better side, I think, with Green at number 6 and Marnus Labuschagne at number 3.
Couldn't have started better. All right, the flip side of that is Sam Konstas, big DOS. If Marnus started on a feather bed in Brisbane, Sam Konstas walked into the green mamba at the Wacker and got blown up twice.
Yeah. And that's going to be, we've all said ad nauseum that these first 4 Shield games are going to be really, really significant. And it's going to be a deal maker or a deal breaker. And so when you look at constants, and that's often largely how cricket goes as well, especially at the top of the order. If you do get on the green top, and then suddenly if the middle order finds a way to fire, then even potentially in the second innings, you may not get an opportunity. So you can go 2 or 3 games largely with just missing the opportunity. Now, in this case, if you miss the opportunity, you miss the boat to national selection, which is why we said momentum is such a key factor. You're Matt Renshaw, 29 years of age, 100 under the belt, early season, already opening with the now Usman Khawaja. He's sort of cemented. No one's sort of arguing about Usman Khawaja, really, are they? So big factor. A lot of Matt's games as well, if I can mount a case for his Test career, of which he's played 13 games. Largely those games have been played away from home as well. So 4 of those games have actually been at home. The rest have been away, and they've been in Bangladesh, South Africa, and India. And if you remember back to the series that he played in India as well, it was an absolute Bunsen burner. And he's also been, I think he's played 19 innings as an opener. He's been 5 and 6 a few times too, a handful of times as well. So, 29 Blue, JB, it's at that kind of age where, you sort your life out a bit. You've maybe found your soulmate. I know that Matt's now got kids as well. He's well set up in his house here in Queensland. He's really comfortable and he's mounting a case. You know, where you go to Sam, he's mounting innovation, he's mounting brilliance, he's mounting youth. But Ashes don't get one on youth alone. They get one on performances, and performances means hundreds and big hundreds. And that's what Matt Renshaw can do.
Ollie Peake, just as an aside, 70 not out to get the Vicks home against South Australia Bluey. Very, very good young player. Now, he will be putting his hand up before long, I reckon. Let's flick over quickly to actually stay with the men and Mitch Marsh, who has become a formidable T20 batter and captain.
Yeah, I watched that game, and if it wasn't for Mitch Marsh, we weren't winning that last game. That was a great knock. Some really indifferent batting from the other end. I mean, he had to do it all himself. I mean, some of the other guys were, just playing very, very one-dimensionally. Like, there was no craft whatsoever. That if you're ever in T20 cricket going to be happy at just scoring at a run of ball and feeding the strike to Mitch Marsh, that was the game. But, Mitch Marsh said afterwards that he was okay with that. They're playing the game in a particular style at the moment. Now, obviously, they've got that World Cup in Asia, so they want to, I think, just go out bloody all guns blazing. But Mitchell Marsh, that innings was very, very good indeed. And I think he's really working his way into the captaincy as well. Like, you can see him the way he's talking in the media and that he's feeling more and more comfortable about leading that T20 side. So he played superbly. He really did.
There's something about just a great human being that makes also a great leader. You know, people want to follow a good person. They want to follow, someone like Mitch that's kind of plays so unselfishly across all the formats of the game. But in T20, as you said, JB, I mean, he just owns that back of a length. There is just nothing that the big tentacles of Mitchell Marsh can't just flay out. And, the way that he can hit the ball over extra cover and cover as well is just extraordinary power alone. So it's a big chassis, the Bison, and it's going big.
You'd know all about big chassis, Dos.
Yeah, and getting bigger, Blue.
I did see some social media work of the big Dos just extricating some fish out of the ocean up there at Stratty. And my goodness, that side profile.
Well, the last bit I saw too of Haydos on social media, he was digging up spuds. So he's gone inland now.
I need a bit of carb for my protein. I've got plenty of fish in the freezer, Blue, finally. You beauty.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Beth Mooney, how good. I mean, we spoke about her before the World Cup started. She is in the form of her life. Coming into this tournament, she making runs for fun. And Australia 7 for 76 before she peeled off a 100 from 114 balls. Alana King, 51 not out. Very handy contribution late in the order. But Beth Mooney, she's just the best.
Yeah, that was a great innings, no doubt about it. You mentioned the scoreline, and I think obviously Alana King played an important role there as well. But to me, it just reminds me of, some of the men's very good sides as well. If someone always seems to stand up, and that happened in the first game as well, with Ash Gardner making a great 100 where, the top order didn't do the job, and someone in a great side, someone always steps up, and this occasion it was Beth Mooney, but she's so consistent and technically, I think, really, really good. And I just think back, how much the women's game has come along, because now the girls are going inside out over cover. And, when I first started watching women's cricket, it was all cow corner to get the power. But now, they're true 360 players. So, fantastic. They got them. It didn't sound like a great pitch over there because Pakistan didn't make many runs either, and the bowlers dominated them. But very special partnership, which is sometimes what you need in World Cups.
You think about sides that win a lot, and as Blue just mentioned there, someone's going to stand up. So when you look at Kingy's innings and also bowling performance as well, because she backed it up with the ball as well. Her 8 overs,
1 for 19.
Yeah, so yielding plenty. So 6 overs yielding the 1 wicket, but she just got spark about her. Like, we're lucky enough, right? We've seen her up in the commentary box at 7 a few times now, and she's got this great present. She owns her own stuff. She's very accountable to the team. And that's the ultimate performance, isn't it? When I think back to the 2 World Cup campaigns that I was lucky enough to play in, someone like Brad Hogg comes to mind straight away, replacing Shane Warne. But he came into the side, wonderful energy, really chipped in with fine contributions with bat, ball, and in the field. And that buzz around the group means that you've got belief. We've heard a lot about this week, grand final week and last week for the AFL, just being all central to just this believing at the World Cup. And make no bones about it, gents, you are judged as a cricketer on World Cups. And in the men's case, the Ashes is definitely something that you're judged on as well. So both these tournaments now that we're licking our lips to see happen, it's going to unfold again in a couple of days against India this time, who have got the perfect start to the World Cup. And momentum does play a role in the World Cups as well. And that's over in Vizag, which is up in the northeast side of India. So I can't wait for that one as well.
Blewy, we're about to get to the middle order for you two, your Australian teams of your time. I'm getting some real feedback from fans of the show who are telling me if Hayden doesn't start taking his selectorial responsibility seriously, give him the arse. That's the feedback I'm getting. If he's not going to do it properly, don't let him do it at all. So that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Good. And we get now to, what are we doing? Number 5, 6, 7?
Oh, okay. Glasses are on. And by the way, JB, what you just said there, by the way, was just, that was absolute dog shit. Dog shit. I don't know where your feedback is coming from, probably from Blewy, the bloke to the right of you, because I just remind the audience has voted. They've had their say on the England side, and it was a 90% yield. 90% yield, Blue. 90% yield to Haydos. So, on that note, let's get serious once again, because what I'm holding here is a very, very heavy, very heavy middle order. And it's
all right. So just take us back to your 1, 2, 3, 4, just so that people can be reminded. Right. Where have you put your top order?
Sorry. Yes. I've picked Justin Langer.
Don't have to justify them, just the names.
Sorry. Michael Slater. Oh, beg your pardon. Beg your pardon.
Yes.
Ricky Ponting. Hello. And then I was dancing between Mark Waugh. There was speculation that Blew It may well have him somewhere in this next 3. Yes. But I didn't go for him. I went for Steve Smith. And beg your pardon about that.
Number 5.
So it comes to my number 5, and I've got 3 words here for you: toughness, culture, and excellence. Right. And those words refer to the very great AO. Oh, that's a title, isn't it? An AO.
Adelaide Oval.
And an Order of Australia for the best captain of my time, for sure. And I'm going to name him as captain as well. And that is Stephen Roger Waugh. Ooh. Bang. Numbers. You want them?
Go on, give us numbers.
Well, 168 matches, 46 against England, 10,927 runs against England, 3,200 runs. He averaged 51 in those 168 matches against England. 58. Hello. 10 hundreds, would you please? High scored 177 and a decent gripper as well. Feel it out close to me, foraging in the gully, 29 catches.
He's happy with himself, isn't he? He thinks he's getting this right, the Doss.
Well, also, just forgive me for picking an all-rounder as well. 22 poles, Blue. That's respect. At 41, less than 3 runs and over, 5 for 69 best figures. And for mine, when I think about the legacy in those 3 words that I mentioned, captaincy was superb. His record against England, as I mentioned before, absolutely superb. But he was the architect of ruthless professionalism as an organisation. He mentioned the word mental disintegration. Hello. mental disintegration. So, you know, he was the most feared individual on the planet. He had a 70% win record in the 57 test matches that he played, 40 as captain, 41 of those he won. So, and as I mentioned before, 9 tests, Ashes, 88% winning record, 16 consecutive tests blue. You were a part of that, 99, 2001, which at the time was a world record. And he was kind of the standard grit bearer of determination, and similar to AB in many ways as a successor, as a captain. He just owned that space. Favourite innings of all time was his 100th. Last ball, a test match. We'll never forget that, will we? Unbelievable in 2003 Ashes. And Stephen Roger Waugh, you are my number 5 and you are my captain.
I don't know. Geez, he was. You could almost feel the happiness oozing out of him from up there in Queensland.
Those testosterone levels were just going through the roof there as he was talking about the great Stephen Waugh. So I'll go back to my top 4 as well. So Justin Langer. Now, David Boone was my other opener. Now, I've gone back and looked at the last episode. As I was reading out David Boone, I just saw Haydos just shaking his head.
Shaking him off.
Drink
Yeah, he was.
So I've had all sorts of feedback, and everyone's saying a great selection.
Yeah. 99 people out of 100 people would not have chosen David Boone. You were the one person that picked it. But congratulations.
Well, I only averaged 45 and 49 in England. So, you know, I'm not going to go back through the numbers, though, but I just did. Ricky Ponting was my number 3. Yes. Stephen Smith is got to be everyone's number 4. Now, I've got Stephen Waugh as my number 5 as well. He's not going to be my captain because he was far too grumpy when he was captain when I was around. That is for sure. But Haydos didn't mention as well. I couldn't believe this. He's played 46 tests, Ashes test matches, but he played 22 in England and averaged 74.
Wow.
74
good
in
stat.
England with 7 hundreds in England, which is quite unbelievable. So I knew he had great Ashes test match series, but those numbers completely blew me away. So there's no doubt that he has to be number 5, where he played just about all of his cricket as well. And talking about being ruthless, I was lucky enough to bat all day with Stephen Waugh in Johannesburg, and got to the stage where we were able to I was trying to enjoy it, you know, especially in between overs, you know, just come down and, mate, that was great, you know. And, mate, he just would not shut up. Come on, we got him right where we want him. We got to nail these boys. And I'm like, mate, we are nailing them. But he just would not take his foot off the pedal all day. So a great player, Stephen Waugh, and he's got to be everyone's number 5.
Was it 97, Bluey, where he made 200s in Manchester when no one else could make a run?
Yep. That was the test match. Nasser Hussain cheated me out, caught it first slip. But on a pitch, especially in the first innings, it was a little bit damp. So there was a little bit of sideways movement, and it spun a bit as well. And, yeah, Stephen Waugh made 200s in both innings, played superbly, and we won that test match.
Yep. All right. No one's arguing that. There's their fine Ashes, or fine player, full stop, but certainly a great record against England. All right. Number 6.
Let me put my spectacles back on again so I can go to school on my next candidate at 6, which I used 3 words before. I'm using these as a symbol in the Australian cricket team of reliability, humility, and enduring passion. And that is Michael Hussey. Michael Hussey is just Mr. Dependable. He's Mr. Cricket, right? So how can you deny him access to the opportunity to be in this lineup? Now, I first knew about Mr. Cricket as that name because I was getting argued to around Matthias Muralitharan, who was also named Mr. Cricket from the Sri Lankan point of view. Now, I was lucky enough to play in the Chennai Super Kings, which had both these 2 legends in the same team, and I happened to be sitting in the middle of a Hussey and Murali on a flight. I don't know. I think it was to Johannesburg or somewhere. Anyways, I'm sort of preparing myself to fly, boarding announcements made, take off. These two, I felt like I was in the middle of a gunfight. They were just talking cricket, 1,000 miles an hour, this and that about the game. And I was just saying, oh, God, just where's a Scotch and Coke or something? And just give me something to put me to sleep. Next minute, I kind of wake up. Mr. Cricket is still talking cricket and Murali is asleep. And I thought, mate, that is why you are called Mr. Cricket. Now, let's go to school on his numbers because they are sensational. Averages 59 in 15 matches against England, 16 grabs as well. And 5 out of those 15 matches that he actually played were in England as well. Now, when I think of the sort of top, I don't know, maybe 3 series of all time, it was 2006 series. And maybe in the top 10 test matches of all time was the Adelaide test match, where Australia were in a bit of trouble going into the second innings. They led by 50. And Mr. Cricket, in a wonderful partnership, firstly with Ricky Ponting, I think it was about 80, who was just extraordinary punter in that series. And then Michael Clark ended up getting Australia home, chasing, what was it, something like 160 something. But Mr. Cricket, all-round great bloke, fantastic energy in the field, super professional. And as I said, he just got Australia into that kind of winning ways as he continued post my career into just dominating sides. Mr. Cricket, you're my man at 6.
My last game of first-class cricket, Blewy, was in 1997 against WA. And I remember finishing that game thinking, it is only minutes until that bloke's playing for Australia. That's how good he was then. It was 10 years.
Yeah.
After that,
he was 28, 29.
and 10,000 first-class runs before he was picked to play for Australia. You think about that, and you think about some of the blokes that have been picked in the last couple of years.
Yes, good call.
Did not have that body of work. I couldn't agree more. And, as you say, fantastic bloke. Huss, who are you going with?
Yeah, well, just quickly on Huss as well. I remember he was in the form of his life, and I remember getting off a plane with him, and we walked up towards where we're getting our bags, and I just said, Huss, mate, congratulations, you're playing brilliantly, and he was like, oh yeah, but you never know, Blewy. You know, all I've got to do is nick the next couple, and I could be out of the side, and so he was one of those players, Haydos. You knew him and played with him much more than what I did, but he was just always on edge, and he was just he just had that hunger. He thought that he had to keep making runs to stay in the side, and that's pretty much what he did. But I've gone for a different number 6 in my side.
I like this. Interesting.
And he has been mentioned, and he had to be in my side. And I'm going to put the two twins together at 5 and 6. I got Mark Waugh in at number 6.
Number 6?
Now, yes,
interesting.
at number 6.
Batted most of the time at 4, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But so he can slot in at number 6 fine. He was comfortable starting it against spin, and but also a very handy bowler. I played I think it was my debut test match at Adelaide, and I think that we had an injury to one of the bowlers, and Junior had to open the bowling and took Pfeiffer with the new ball and could bowl decent wheels. Loved bowling a bouncer.
Oh, love the centre of the wicket.
Yeah, had the collar up like that,
yeah,
and
always.
sort of came waddling in.
Pretty.
Obviously a great fielder as well, like one of the greats, like a beautiful mover, great hands, and had a great record in Ashes test matches, 29 Ashes test matches, over 2,000 runs at 50. So good numbers. And in England, 17 test matches at 49.5. So round that up to 50 as well. 6 Ashes test match hundreds, 11 50s, and 3 of those hundreds were away as well. So I think he's a very, very worthy player in my side, batting at number 6. Thank you very much.
And humour.
Yes.
So
correct.
that's the other thing. You need blokes in your team that are going to provide you with humour. And Junior has got high quality humour. Mostly when he doesn't know he's providing it.
Correct.
He was a proper shakedown in team meetings. Just yep. Talking absolute dung. Buck, dung.
All right. No, that's interesting. I love both of those selections. Again, Blewy, Mark Waugh, 10,000 first-class runs before getting picked to play for Australia. So he had to bide his time, and eye candy at the crease too. Fantastic. All right. Now, number 7, I can't – well, go on.
No, there's not really any point. But talking of eye candy, hello, Adam Gilchrist, AO.
Yep.
Contributions for excellence. Transformation, inspiration, integrity. They're the 3 words that I had for our very greatest of all time. You'd be hard-pressed in any side right across the world that he is not in this role at number 7, because he literally changed the way the game is played. Simple as that. He was easily the most talented. Him and Mardo were easily the most talented cricketers that we ever played with in youth cricket. There was something, JB, different about the song of cricket bat on Adam Gilchrist's ball. It just hit the sweetest note, and it was an unorthodox grip. You know, it was almost an unorthodox style, but somehow when it was all put together, there was something unique and special. And maybe, you know, when you think of the artesian world, you think of the great artists like Bono, for example, or, you know, in the cooking space, we've got a lot of different names there we could throw about. But in cricket, he was just an artist, and he painted excitement. He painted, you know, will we ever forget the innings that he played in Perth? You would have been broadcasting that one, JB, maybe Blue as well. And that was coming off, by the way, a pretty average kind of start to the series. He did get 60-odd in Adelaide in the second test match, but he got a globe in the first innings. He had a globe up in Brisbane, a bit like what I was talking about before. And that side, if you kind of missed out, you could go a month without having a bat. So Punter and I were sitting next to each other and watching his net session, because he was easily the worst cricketer in the nets. He looked like a bowler in the nets. Golf ball, squash balls in his hand and all this rubbish. But looking at him, going, he's no hope of getting a run here. And then he went over the top of cover, and we'll never forget big Freddie Flintoff just dancing sunscreen on the top of his mouth as he watched that ball sail up into the old racetrack at the Wacker. So the numbers are great. Bluey, you can go into the numbers, but against England, played 20 test matches, averaged 45. Strike rate, this is really key. 92 against England, but in career, his strike rate was over 80. That is WOW. That's extraordinary.
Yep. No, not much more needs to be said about Gilly. An absolute freak of a player. And, you know, just could win or turn games, you know, just off his own bat. Let's not forget his glove work as well, Haydos, because I thought he was an exceptional keeper. I know he might have dropped a couple towards the end, which I think he has said sort of forced his retirement or forced his thinking. But I just thought he was an absolute brilliant gloveman. I came across him in the Australian under-19 team, and we toured England. And without doubt, himself and Damien Martin were the biggest influences on my career, because I was just looking at these guys going, how good are you guys? And it really made me lift my game as well at that sort of age. And I remember I used to bowl a few swingers over there on that under-19 tour, and every now and then he'd come up to the stumps, and then he'd sort of signal to me, bowl one down the leg side, and I'd bowl one down the leg side, and they'd fall over, and he'd get these leg side stumpings, and I'm going, who is this bloke? But yeah, an absolute cracker of a bloke. I remember JB, when he left New South Wales, he rang me and he said, listen, what do you reckon? Should I come over to Adelaide? Now, I was very loyal to Tim Nielsen, who was in our side at the time. And I said, well, you know, you got Tim Nielsen there, and I'm sure you got to fight for your spot. And next thing, he signed for WA. And now looking back at that, I don't know whether that was, you know, whether I should have been encouraging him a little bit more to come to to South Australia because it was one of those that probably got away. But yeah, he's still in WA, still lives. I thought, once he'd finished his career, he'd probably move back to the coast at New South Wales. But yeah, I mean, he's in everyone's side at number 7.
You've cost him about 900 hours in the air there, Blue.
What
about JB though? He is one of the great tourists of all time as well. Let's not forget the fact of the influence of wicket keepers in the history of Australian cricket. There's been some absolute goons in that position, and Gilly fits the role of the good tourist perfectly. His theory was the very best of all time when it came to jet lag. It was very simple. You drown the bastard. So you want to get Gilly on a roll in the first couple of days of any tour because you will not see him sober. And he is just one of those guys that makes it all happen. He coordinates the group. He's one of the best vice generals of all time because he's a great communicator. He'll be across all the different infos, the juicy little details around what's happening in the team, along with Buff and Ponting, that nothing escapes the gaps between those three. They literally the gossip mongers of all time, but they make stuff happen. It's just, he's so fun to be around, Gilly. He's so honest. I was standing with him, Blue, as well. When he dropped that catch, I think it was against South Africa, wasn't it, in the year after the Ashes, and he just went, "Dos, I'm done." And I said, "I think it's probably a good idea, yeah."
No, trying to talk him out of it, Dos.
No. Straight in here it was. Bang.
Yeah, in and out. Well, the two things I'd say about him, Bluey and Haydos, and it's impossible to argue with anything either of you said. He came after two of the great glovemen in Rod Marsh and Ian Healy. And so I always thought it was unfair that his glove work was compared to those two because they were just next level. They were just extraordinary. But what they didn't do was destroy opposition with the wand. They were both handy batters, but they had none of what Gilly brought to the table. We played, I reckon, Bluey in that famous Shield final where he came of age. He made 180 off about 150 balls and literally plastered us everywhere. We nearly ran out of kookaburras. He kept landing them in Queen's Park, Queen's Gardens, aiming them at the cathedral. Like it was, you talk about the ball leaving the bat, Dos. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. He literally took the piss. And I tell you, I think I've said this before, and I'm bloody hopeless at the West Indian accent, but I remember sitting with Michael Holding and he was comparing the great West Indian team of the early 80s to that amazing Australian team of the early 2000s. And he went through batters and bowlers, and I won't go through all of that. But at the end, when it came to deciding which was the better team, Gilly was out in the middle plastering England everywhere as Ikey and I were sitting there. And he turned to me and he said, as good a player as Jeffrey Dushan was, he didn't put the opposition into a state of confusion. The beautiful Michael Holding summed it up in one sentence. That's why Adam Gilchrist was different gravy, because out in the middle, as a captain and as an opposition team, you just had no clue once he got rolling what the hell you could do to even hold him, Bluey. There was no holding him.
No. Once he got on that roll, he was just one of those players that couldn't pull it back in, even if he wanted to, or even if the game was heading in that direction. He just, he just got so excited about smashing the ball, and that momentum. But just going back quickly to his keeping, I think because of his batting was so good, so so entertaining. I think that almost took the shine away, or the attention away from how good a keeper he was as well. But that's just my opinion. I thought he was exceptional with the gloves too.
He's pretty tall as well. Like when you think of the keepers, they're Ian Healy's not about probably the same height as Bacchus actually. Brad Haddon, similar height as well. So he was unique in that way. We were all kind of worried, I guess, about his longevity, but historically, I think he played his 96 Test matches without break. Now that's some sort of record. That's extraordinary longevity in a row as well. So he was as tough as they came as well.
Yeah, I also loved watching, because you blokes played with him in that era and I was able to do a lot of broadcasting of his games. I loved how selfless he was at the crease too. He never, ever did anything but put the team first. And, you know, when you think about when he so many times came to the crease with Australia in real strife, and half an hour later, he had swung the game Australia's way by playing this innings that, you know, if he wanted to protect his own record or his own batting, you know, he wouldn't have played. So, I loved how he went about it.
I reckon he'd be in the grand final for the quickest to get off as well once he got out. He just the head went down and he used to take him about 10 seconds to get off, Haydos.
Yeah, he was a genuine walker, much to the disgruntle of the other 10 members of the team. But, I mean, you've got to say that's why I use the word integrity, because he had that in abundance. And, you know, our side was a tough side. It was a tough side to play in. It was a tough side to make. It was a tough side to actually stay there. And there were times when, you know, Gilly would walk that it was like really critical to the game. I can't really think off the top of my head what some of those were, but gee, you know, we'd be shaking our heads but he was just so consistent like that. And that's why, you know, we all appreciate what he did on the field. Now we're appreciating it off the field as well. Just a superstar.
He'll be able to hear this conversation too, because they're the biggest ears any human being's ever had.
Some of the biggest listeners ever.
Yeah, he'll dead set be sitting in Subiaco, hearing this conversation, and enjoying it. All right, final overtime, boys. I think that's interesting. Only the one discrepancy between the two of you, but impossible to argue that they aren't magnificent middle orders. Try and work your way through that. All right, quick answers here, and there's a bit to get through, so let's roll. Bluey first. Does having the Women's World Cup on Prime Video mean people absolutely don't watch, same as the men in the West Indies a few years back? Do we sit these things on streaming services and cost ourselves audience?
Yeah, it obviously doesn't help, but I will say that, you know, there are some ways around that. If you're really keen to watch it, I mean, you can, you know, a lot of these streaming companies allow 1 or 2 months free, you know, before you actually have to subscribe. They'll get you in the end, though. There's always ways around it. But, it obviously, without it being free to wear, and as you mentioned, a lot of the men's stuff overseas now is not free to wear as well. So it certainly doesn't help. There's no, but I don't think the way things are trending, I don't think it's going to get any better in that regard.
I was very worried about where Blue was going to go with that. I was thinking he was going to promote some sort of pirating service, and in the end he did. He just said, use them up for a couple of months and then flick them. Nice one, Blue. What a tight ass. What a tight ass, JB.
Hard to argue that.
Oh, mate. I mean, this is the thing. We all have all of these streaming services in reality. That's how we kind of consume media. And our generation may be at the top end of that. Imagine our kids. They're all on these platforms. We see them coming through on our accounts every week. Netflix, you know, KO, blah, blah, blah. The only thing that I have that's a concern is just how a sport, when it does hide behind a pay curtain, it remains very exclusive. And a sport, and we've just seen the grand finals, how good they were on free to air. We're going to see the Ashes on free to air, you know, occupying the sound waves and the vision of the summer. It's where kids get inspired. It's where our game thrives. And if you don't get it right, the mix of it, and we've seen this with rugby union, and whilst they've been quite a difficult side to follow, the Wallabies, because of their performances over the last decade, now they're starting to see great performances, and you then have to then get into the habit of going to a pay screen. So tough one. And I think it's just a little note of heed the warning, guys. We need to understand that cricket needs to be free to air.
Well, I can only talk to myself. I have actually got Amazon Prime, or Prime Video as it's now called, but I still wake up in the morning and download the Cricket Australia app and watch the highlights rather than watching it live, which is just how I consume it. I'm very big fan of the girls, but it was no different in the West Indies, Bluey. I just watched the highlights of the boys' games. And all right, 7 weeks out from the Ashes, our best batsman is in New York. Very different way players prepare today to back in the day. He will play 2 Shield games, Steve Smith, but the Shield season started and he is in the Big Apple. Thoughts?
Yeah, I disagree with that because it's not just about Steve Smith. I mean, the legacy that AB, for example, paved in a young Queensland side, just a supporting act to just passing on knowledge, passing on enthusiasm, passion for the game, commitment to a squad, commitment to a state. I understand why Steve would be doing that, just for balance of life, and it's a really important time at the age that he is that he gets that right, because the consequences beyond the field, if you don't, are really very real. But I also feel that he's probably getting enough for himself over in a country like the States, which are a premium sports destination. They've got, great services around the game. Sports science is at its absolute best in that country. So I guarantee what I've seen of Smudge, how transformative he can be in his own game, that he would be getting new intel, new preparation, new thoughts, and that can only be a good thing to inspire Steve, let alone anyone else.
Luke?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I mean, another example of that is someone like an Adam Zampa who lives in somewhere just out of Byron Bay or someone like that, and doesn't train with any squads, as far as I know. So every time he plays for Australia, he goes into, whatever, if there's like a little mini camp before their first game, whether it's overseas or in Australia. So it's definitely changed. And I'm with Haydos as well. Like I know why Steve does it. He absolutely loves New York. And I think he's spent a lot more time there after what happened in South Africa, just to get away from, being hassled all the time and asked about it. And now he obviously still loves it there. So, but for me, I could understand it if he had a little window and he was overseas, he just ducks back over to New York. But I think at the start of a summer, even if he doesn't want to play the first Shield game, I still think he should be around the squad and playing or training in Australia. But we might be a bit old school in that regard, but I feel like, it's just got a strange sort of feel about it with, so close to a very, very important summer that Steve Smith's in New York.
As I say, I read that he is going to play 2 Shield games in the preparation. All right, shorter answers you two, you're waffling. I've got a quote here.
It's
from Joe Root.
contagious.
Well, it is. Joe Root, quoting, "In 5 years' time, no one's going to look back on what Matthew Hayden said, or Greg Blewett, or Mark Waugh, or whoever it is," he reckons.
Mm.
They're going to look back and think that's an historic England win or not.
Or not. If or not means that I'm not running around nude the MCG, that's a good thing. Because I tell you what, in 100 years' time, if he doesn't make 100 in Australia, everyone will remember that. So have some of that, Joe Root. We've had our careers, mate. We've had our careers. We've made hundreds in both countries. Now it's over to you to actually show how good you are, because as we mentioned, there's been plenty of touring sides that have come here and have disappeared with the urn in ashes.
I love how Junior's copped a little drive-by. Junior will be sitting in Sydney going, what's it got to do with me?
He's obviously read something or listened to something that Junior's said as well. I love it. I think he's spot on. Like as Haydos said, if Haydos does have to follow through with running nude around the MCG, it'll go. I'm just be the happiest man for the rest of my life to see the big DOS and the small tackle just sort of wobbling from side to side. That'd be good. But I also agree with Joe Root. Like, it's all about, it doesn't really matter what we say. It's all about, what happens during the summer. So we're all looking forward to it. We're all getting excited.
Oh, my God. And that
juicy,
roof,
isn't it?
DOS is getting that roof ready to cover the lot.
It can't be any worse than Buff. Remember when he did that little run through? They laid over with the retro look. That was just graceful, Buff.
Horrible. All right. Time for you to change hats, big man. I can hold him back no longer. Do we have to acknowledge, Blewy, that Brisbane reigns supreme as the best footballing state in Australia?
Bang.
What's
Where
that?
are they?
What is that?
Boom.
Oh,
Here we go. Paddy Carrigan's personal
merchandise.
Yeah, bought merchandise and the Queensland, just in case you forget, boys, just in case the Lions, the
Blewy,
Broncos.
we have to dip
we
our
are in a
lid, the Lions,
gloating state.
into the Bronchios.
Yeah, no, well done, Haydos. And he's actually, the Queenslanders are a bit like the Poms. You know, Haydos has been saying how bad a winners the Poms are. Well, look at that. Look at the big DOS. Look at that.
I can't believe that you've referred Queenslanders to Poms. There is nothing similar about Queensland and
just
the Poms. Oh, right, okay.
Well done. Hey, Dos, it's your game, not mine, but what a cracking game. You couldn't take your eyes off it.
Great finals. I mean, Melbourne, for all money, you had us, JB, you know, at halftime, I thought we were completely gone.
Yep.
But it just goes to show you that in big matches, and we've seen it overnight in the women's game as well in the World Cup, that individual brilliance of Walsh, it just matters in big games. I mean, he was defensively outstanding, 4 tries, he at least stopped. He contributed to many tries as well as scoring his own as well. Just extraordinary performance and courage under fire in a big match, and that's the sort of stand-up qualities that you need in any kind of champion side. And we saw in the Lions as well, as you were calling it, just individual brilliance and a tenacity to win the moment.
Yep. No. Well done. Well done. Can't argue. All right, final question, probably for you, Blewy, more than Dos, given your love of the game. Is there anything more detestable, and I want you to rank them, than US golfers playing in the Ryder Cup or US fans when the Ryder Cup is played in the US? Who actually annoys you more?
It is a hard watch. Like I love the Ryder Cup, and being in New York, you sort of knew it was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's always carry on, and I'm always fascinated with these individual sports that come together as a team, and then just see the behaviour in amongst that team. But yeah, pretty ordinary. But it is on my bucket list, actually, JB. I want to go to a Ryder Cup. I'd love to go to one, but it definitely won't be in the States.
No,
it'll
be in Europe.
In Europe, yeah.
I mean,
well, you'll have to wait, Blue.
Throwing a full drink at a player's wife.
What will I have to pay?
No, you have to wait, I said, because next week, all you're going to be doing is playing in the Celebrity Golf Day for Mark Taylor's charity.
Yes.
And JB, you'll be joining us as well. That's coming up.
I am doing
so we'll be able to share a couple of lappers and talk about how good we are on this podcast. And maybe even just burgle a win.
Will be played by the man to my left, because I have not had a golf club in my hands for 4 months. It's going to be
here we go. The excuses already.
Horrible. No, not excuses. It'll be no good. We got the bowlers next week, which is going to be interesting. Did either of you cross over with DK Lilly? No. All right, so we've got to leave the great man out. It'll be beyond that, and this for this Australian team is going to be.
It'll be on McDermott. It'll be on Billy, Pistol probably as well. I mean, their names that I toured with them, but I didn't play with them.
Right. Okay. Well, that's coming up next week. Hope you've enjoyed All Over Bar the Cricket.